Hello, welcome to Relatively Speaking 2020. My name is Rosemary. I'm doing a collective read. This one is for July 3rd, 2023. I may do another read later for whenever you find a message, it will resonate with you. But this particular one will be for the collective, and it's going to be about the particular templates that are playing out. We actually have multiple templates playing out right now. In actuality, if you really pay attention, we have two. Um, in a way, it's one timeline, but it's two, and they're mirrored in on each other, but timelines right now. So we have the divine masculine and divine feminine. We have those that are sitting in unity, which is part of the heaven space, heaven being a vibration. And we also have the inverse on that, which is actually the more of the shadow work that's being done, being played out underneath in a way, kind of like it is a yin yang, right? So one affects the other, and as we merge, neither one will be destroyed, but we'll actually be creating a new timeline right now. So in that, I'm going to begin with the Oracle of the Roses right now, and I'm going to actually draw two cards for. We're going to draw two for the archetypes that we're actually going through right now. Usually, again, we're having a divine masculine or divine feminine, or a logical and intuitive side kind of thing that is going on. We're also even in, if you really want to think about it, there's actually it's like a divine chess match in a way. We're actually playing ourselves. It's again, it's us against our ego in a way. We're not here to destroy our ego. We're here to actually come to terms and come to peace with it. So we're not actually we're not fighting other people in a way. We're in a way just fighting ourselves. And instead of fighting ourselves, we should be in a way more or less becoming in union with ourselves. Again, unity. It is a yin yang, not a yin and yang, right? It's not black and white. There are different shades within it, and it becomes a sphere. It becomes full spectrum. So I'm going to upload a few of these videos. I'm going to try to do one every night, which will be for the next day. And if anybody would like readings, we'll be booking private ones 2 weeks in advance. You can message. You can message through Facebook. You can message or comment below in YouTube. And we are also going to be getting together podcast story time again. It will be launching again. I'm in a new location, as if you can't tell. And it has been a great trip so far. It has been a great experience. Okay, this deck. So we have the Alchemist, which is 40. This is a particular rose. This is a meme, Caroline Testet Rose. Number 40, which is 4, again, the protection layer that we have for very stable energy. And we have 3. We have the Alchemist. Again, mind you, this deck does have 2 scientists and 2 alchemists in this deck. So we have 2 people that are creating, 2 archetypes that, again, that are being created. This is a barberry leafed rose. It's a wild rose. This one is more of a modern garden rose, if you can see on here. I will go through and actually read the booklet on this one, because there's a specific zodiac with each one of these. And it does also help with, again, they're 2 different alchemists on this one. So we have 3 in the 3D space. The alchemist, the one that is the creator in the 3D realm, right? The mind, body, soul alignment. And we actually have 4 as the protector one. We have the one that is actually more of embodying the heaven space, or actually having the heaven space here, holding that space. If you build it, they will come, right? So this particular one, number 3, actually represents transformation. It's intuition, it's magic, it's skill, it's ability. This also represents deities such as Thoth or Isis, Circe. And it's an astrological sign for Scorpio right now, which again is more of this water sign, right? We're into this water phase. So the oracle meaning behind this is there's many paths that we can choose from, and problems to deal with, or blankness that needs to be filled. And this can be solved by your own hand. Again, we're the ones in the way creating our We're the ones away of ourselves, but they're also the ones creating this. So your perspective is vital and has ultimate bearing on the next move. But use that power wisely, as movements that are unbound by natural laws are usually short-lived celebrations of glittery magic and emptiness. Again, going to the more materialistic, right? What we're looking for is more internal in this place, right? We don't, things that are materialistic of the 3D world can be taken away from us. Whereas the things that are abundant inside of us, actually, we make and resonate out. That is something that nobody can take from us. So the alchemist crafts from what is already here and with the resources that are available. They trust in their own natural abilities and the possibility and intuitions inherent within themselves and others. So even, I'm going to say that this particular archetype, and I would say even more on the masculine side, I have been seeing that with the masculines in a way, and the divine masculines. Again, so they're trusting in their natural abilities and the possibilities and intuitions inherent within themselves and others. But it's also being resourceful, right? To this craftiness to take something and upcycle it in a way. So it is still seeing things in the 3D realm, and how they serve you in abundance. And whereas you have an alchemist in I'm going to say 4D, but again, this is something more of a stability side where the abundance is created inside first. And once you recognize it inside, then the abundance and materials actually flow towards you. It's actually creating a different polarity shift. So this particular one is a Sagittarius card, and it says more to do with Bridget or Hephaestus in deity terms, and even Hermes as a messenger, right? And Hermes, it's funny because Hermes is also Thoth. So if not aware of it, Hermes is also Thoth of the Emerald Tablets. That's why it's called Hermes Trimestris, which is three, right? Three, sorry. And you have Thoth, which is the ones who actually wrote the Emerald Tablets, or the writer architect of that Emerald Tablet in a way, at least in historical fashion, from what we know and what knowledge we have now of it. So if you can completely change one thing in your life, what would the world look like? So it's talking about, again, changing ourselves from the inside in our life so that our world changes, right? It changes on the outside. Again, inside first. So time for change. It's leaving something behind and casting off the energies, peoples, and activities that no longer serve us, right? Standing alone may be the way to find the answers you seek. You are also in the position to help others find clarity and divine wisdom to enrich and powerfully change their lives. Do not be hesitant in sharing. The alchemist usually has an aura of the mysterious and the magical about them, but they are grounded individuals who affect change through their deep understanding of their own intuition. Again, so this is understanding us from the inside out, right? And then taking the aura of the mysterious and the magical and being this grounded individual so that we affect and resonate that out. It's like a droplet, one drop, we call it 0 point, right? And it creates those ripples that come out and then they bounce back in. So these are basically, in a way, a divine feminine, divine masculine archetype, a logic, intuition, a 3D side that we're seeing, the actual intelligence and the artificial intelligence of the world, and what we're seeing more in intuition. One walks more with intuition and one walks more with logic of the 3D. So I'm going to actually see where these, again, we're going to look and see how these paradigms shift. I'm going to use a different deck right now. This particular deck I'm using does not have a book. They do not make this book anymore for this deck, so it is completely intuitive. And we're going to look at each archetype. We're going to look at each template that is being played out of the yin and yang and the divine masculine and feminine, the light and the dark, and how, again, they're going to actually come together in a unified fashion at the end of this reading. I've actually set this up in a little bit more of a structure than I normally do. Instead, I usually just draw cards for this. So we're going to look at this this particular alchemist, and then we're going to look at this one. So I just had a bunch of them fly out. So this one, the divine feminine, 29, which is 11. So we're looking at the divine feminine right now on this particular one. We also had the tree of life, which is 5, is making a change, which this card also indicated when I did read on it, that the tree of life and the way we traverse, and even the tree of life on here, this particular tree of life that we're looking at as a feminine aspect, where you can traverse it up on different sides, right? But the middle ground, if you notice that rainbow's coming through right in the middle here, that middle ground, that full spectrum energy, full spectrum light, which is all light, and even 7 of Hearts. Again, 7 cups, really. It's the 7 of Cups in a deck. But 7 of Hearts is that 7th alignment in a way. So here's your Ace card and offer, a divine feminine coming forward with a balanced, in a very balanced way. Again, balancing the energies right now. And a random, this is a wild card, roll of the dice. We have 2 here at the top when we're reading this in the reverse section. This is also number 39, which is 12, which breaks down to 3. You're talking in the 3D realm, there is a roll of the dice that ended up coming through. And I'm going to read the last one that comes out. So the roll of the dice that end up coming through, this randomness, right? It's not seemingly randomness. There really is no randomness or coincidences that happen in reality as it is. Everything does have a purpose. And whether we go off that beaten path or take that risk in a way to throw that dice, it does divinely come around. Again, it may actually divert our path to come around in a way that will help us to see ourselves and actually help us to grow. So the other card that I have is, this is a love offering. It is in reverse. These are irises. And again, it's 30, which is 3, but the king on here. So the king of spades, I believe it is, which would be your swords in a way. That is your swiftly moving king or offering coming in, right? Which would be the masculine and even energies coming in, but the union coming in between that. Those 4 cards actually jumped out. I'm just going to draw 1, so regardless of how many pop out for this one, we'll see. I'm actually going to cut it. I'm going to find out. I have number 9. So 9 is, and again, here's your divine offering in a way. It's a bouquet of flowers, right? It's an offering proposal. This one is actually a message coming in as mail. A letter is attached to this, and then a congratulatory to this particular 3D of the Alchemist, the 3D version right now, but it's also completion. So they're coming to a completion. We also have the Queen of Spades on here, which does complement the King of Spades on this other one. So this 3D completion, we have 30 here, but we have a 9 on this side, meaning that a full circle spectrum is coming in for this particular alchemist. Now, the Scorpio energy usually is this more Scorpios can be very vindictive at times when they hold grudges and stuff, right? So they're still dealing with an emotional trauma. Sometimes it's very hard for them to let that go. They will collect energy or how they feel in a moment and go with that sting, right? So we also have 37, which is 10. Again, a completion. It's a wild card, but the timing. So the timing is not their timing in a way. Again, these are all upside down. These timings are also synchronized. Again, it's multiple different clocks on this one that is actually that are going off at the same time right now. So you have, I believe it's cuckoo clock. You have, there's an owl on here. There's a rooster on here. Again, the awakening, right? The moment to wake up. There's also a astrolabe, and there's even a hourglass on here. So these are all about timings. So this completion, again, this new beginning, because 37 is 10, which is 1, right? It's a new beginning here. This is coming through for this particular 3D archetype who is, in a way, they're looking more on building and they're okay with their 3D skills, but how is it that they're, again, looking for the abundance, which is the other side of this right now that we're seeing. So I have 43, which is 7. It's another wild card. They're in the way traversing into the maze, basically. They're going through the maze or energies, in which case waiting for that one person in the middle, but at the same time that person is themselves. So they're going through this particular cycle that they're in to come in to alignment, right? And there are many that are on this path right now, walking through this hedge maze. And this wild card coming in, there's again 2 wild cards. These are things that are basically unknown that we're seeing within the divine masculine, if you want to put it on that side, or the logical or 3D world that we're looking at. Again, this is more 3D. This one is more of the internal abundance that we have. So they're also traversing through their childhood. They're going through their childhood, their memories, the joy in it, and trying to, in a way, they're doing their best to incorporate that inner child healing. This is 13, which is 4. again, back to the balance point, right? They're going through that inner child healing right now. You have the Jack here, Jack of Spades, which usually is the Knight of Swords, which is again a very swift moving energies, right, coming through. And you also look at the paradigm again between we have a lot of stuff playing out right now, even in the political forefront. But even if you're not looking in that, you can actually see within the 3D realm right now, we're seeing these energies of people who are preserving spaces, right? And they're both congruent with each other with the flowers coming in. They're preserving and making a space for people to actually have that inner child healing to come through. So that is for this particular alchemist here. Again, you're dealing with yin and yang energies, light and dark. You're dealing with the wildness in the 3D, and you're dealing with logic, intuition, artificial intelligence, or actual intelligence. Both are AI. They're just AIs in different ways. I'm going to actually read from the Akashic Record deck that I have. We're going to pull some more on these archetypes and the energies, the divine energies I will do next, so that you can see that, again, there's a lot of inner child healing, a lot of it going around in circles even, or even feeling dead end or lost or stagnant with these particular energies. They're not quite there at that ending, right? They're getting there in that completion. They're going to actually start to have that new beginning, but it's not their timing, right? It's more of a divine timing. They're just moving through. And a lot of times what we're waiting here is more of this randomness, where exactly where the risks are being taken, right? To build our foundation, to build our tree of change, which is 5, the changing energies. We actually have that tree of life energy going on right now. We're solidifying those branches. We're actually building that middle harmonic ground. So I have the Sands of Time. And again, timing wise, timing's on this side as well. This is 6 of Scrolls. So the Sands of Times being an imbalance in the time right now. We're actually looking at 6 of Scrolls on here is us writing it, right? We're looking at how we're balancing our time right now. So in this particular path here, more of the intuitive side, if we're looking on this alchemist side, we have our timing, being careful with how we're spending our time, how we're utilizing our time, how we're structuring our time, but also making sure we're still in that flow stage, because once we start structuring it, we get back into this very 3D structured world. And this flow state that we're in does not help to facilitate doesn't help to facilitate the growth or the freedom that is required in a way to break those chains, right, from that 3D world. So how you utilize your timing and the emotions that come with it, to not feel guilty about having a moment where you can take time for yourself. Again, our self is one of the biggest things that we could actually bring in into our stability. So we have also, and I'm going to do 2 for each, we have this Caught in the Runes. Again, this actually came up in the pre-shuffle when I started this. So this is 16, which is 7, this alignment, right? Caught in the runes in a way. So we're actually, again, our timing, catching ourselves in here, right? And we have this, again, and I say catching ourselves. Now, if you really look at this card, these 2 people are trapped in here. When the easiest thing is, again, to climb the walls out. The opening is right at the top, right? So we're not actually caught in a room. We're actually catching ourselves and getting in the way of our own energy. So that's, again, utilizing our time. Where are we spending it? Are we spending it on pondering the other person? Are we spending it on pondering the what ifs? Or are we actually utilizing our time to make it a little bit more structured to build that space? So that would be for this alchemist. This particular freedom with Sagittarius are very free-spirited energies. Very flowing energy, right? Very intuitive, mysterious type energies. So we have the 3D alchemist here. They're still in a karmic trench. They're still digging through their karmic trench, their cycles, which again also is affirmed by this particular maze card that we got. So this is the 4 of Scrolls. They're doing their best to get to that 4, to get to that particular protection mode of feeling safe within their own skin. But they're going through their own karmic trench, dealing with the inner child healing here. And doing the best to not dig further into that karmic trench. Again, all of this happens to do with divine timing right now. And in doing so, in this particular trend, sometimes it's their own cycle over and over. It repeats itself. It's like it's a basically a groundhog day until we get it right. And each day, obviously, we can see is different, but that cycle will continue on if we don't break that cycle. So we have the 3D space. I have 12 here, which is actually 3. The scribe. They are also not in control of their writing, right? Again, being the scribe, we're the only scribe of it, we're our transcribe, subscribe of it, okay? So trans meaning we're changing that, we're going from one to the other, and subscribe meaning we are the subconscious that is scribing or writing this particular day that we're in, or cycles that we're in, or even our higher self that actually writes our actual day out ahead of us. So they're not seeing that they're the ones in control of their own space, their own trench, their own cycle right now. They're obviously still going through that cycle, but they're not seeing that, again, they're a little behind in it, or that they're actually starting to, that they're the ones in control. They're suffering in a way, the karmic trench, right? What karma is. So I will draw more cards on it. I'm going to draw the divine feelings on this. We have the Oracle, the Rose Oracle deck here, and these are the divine steps that each archetype, each alchemist on each side of this can activate to help them to bring this path together, to bring it forward. And it is, we are going into a unity path, so I'm going to say that. And again, think of it as one path. There's one timeline actually being played out, and even what people perceive as death is not actually death. We just jump timeline, and it asks the way to converge back in. But we're on one timeline right now. 2, if you're looking at the mirror, 1 is mirroring itself, 1 underneath itself. So as 1 walks forward on here, it is also inversely walking forward on here. There's a move being made on each one, and that path is going forward. So 1 is experiencing this heaven space, while they are all inversely connected to the person here, or people in divine, again, twin flame or divine unions, soulmates. They're actually the heaven space. They may be, again, they're seeing it, they're holding that space, they're holding that light on this side of it, even though they're being affected by some people's, I say, hell spaces, their fear mentality, right? The shadow part from below. They are the light within the dark on the top, and on the bottom are the darkness that is in the heaven space, because that is the heaven for this person here, right? That is their heaven, is that other person, right? To bring that in. So building that space for us is for the collective right now, build the heaven space, will help us to have a place and show people, because telling it, again, we can sit here and tell, and I feel like we've been telling for quite a long time, since 2020 and a lot longer, but it's time for the show, right? The show must go on, the concert. And I would like to put a shout out to this particular song. Check out Symphony by Imagine Dragons. Very awesome, very congruent with what has been being spoken about in the last few weeks. So I have the codes of the seeds. This is the blueprint is within you. Take the next steps. Very important, as we were saying, again, talking about time, taking our time and where we're utilizing our time and not getting caught within our trapping or getting in our own way here. We're talking about the codes. Again, it's already within you. The heaven space is already within us, right? The blueprint is there. So it's just saying, just take the next step. We're literally there, just a step away. Many of us are. We're in this place where we're just a step away. It is just taking that one step for us to step into ourselves, right? And that is, again, that's divinely, this would be more of the divine message coming through. So codes of the seed. And for the other 3D paradigm that we're seeing here, the other template, the 3D one, we're seeing the rose threads. So the inner call, soul led, the mystic, and living courageously. So the people that are on the other template that are doing a lot of the shadow work right now are going through a lot of this, again, getting rid of the karmic ties, the karmic trenches that we're in, maybe even cycles that we don't know that we're in. We're being asked to, they're being asked to live courageously, right? To actually make that step. to actually start going inside in the soul led, right? The inner call, to start really digging in deep and literally introspecting. And it's not, if somebody is saying something to you, it's not that they're in a way criticizing you, but to self reflect, right? Don't use it as destructive criticism, but constructive criticism. We can honestly ask ourselves, is this us, or is this a projection of somebody else's perception of us, right? And this is where, again, both are being asked, both paradigm, both templates in a way are being asked to go within. It's already within us, right? One is being told to take the courageous step and actually look into your soul, look at it. Don't feel ashamed or guilty for things that we didn't know, right? Don't feel ashamed or guilty that we reacted in a certain way, may have been more into our shadow self or aspect, or more being controlled by our own emotions, our own ego, instead of standing in our own divinity in a way, right? Like having that heaven space, that clarity space come through. It doesn't mean that we were bad. There were things that we didn't know about ourselves, right? Know thyself, heal thyself. Um, and that is where the real healing comes in. And once you start making those steps on both sides of this template that we have here, that is where the unity comes in. Once the common threads are actually known, because everybody's story is valid, then you'll actually start seeing how this is all a divine symphony, an orchestra, right? It's divinely orchestrated. And if we happen to make a mistake on a particular note, we have the opportunity to, again, a second take. It will come back around. Somebody else may make that particular move or a note or play the flute a little bit. And that doesn't mean that we weren't good at the flutist part. We have another purpose, right? We have um, another part in it, another play, right? So some of the energy surrounding this, I have this magnetism and attraction. So a lot of people who are on this particular template more into building the heaven space, holding that heaven space, right? Really honing in and focusing on ourselves. This is also 37, which is 10. This is new beginning, right? We're having this attraction magnetism, and a lot of people are in a way coming towards, and we're actually seeing more of this distractions coming in the way. We are creating that distraction for ourselves. We are bringing it to our awareness for ourselves, but more of this magnetism is coming into play. So it's asking us to stay on our path, right? And again, we have this lake here. This is for the other archetype we have, the other template, 31, which is 4. Again, they want to get back into this. Is also talking about going inside, going into the protection. Know that you're protected. If you're going through more of this shadow work, and a lot of us are, some of us are very much introspective, do not be too harsh on yourself, but also the depth of the lake. Don't feel afraid for what you're holding underneath, right? To dive right into underneath that. Again, all of that, what we think of as mysterious, it really isn't. It's more of us lighting ourselves up, right? So and I'm gonna do one for each one. We have that coming in. Again, they're trying to get to 4. We're doing this again. The other side is doing in the beginning in a way, right? Taking that steps into the magnetism to attract. If you build it, they will come. Build that heaven space, and then that merger will actually come in. So I'm actually gonna draw one. I'm getting the feeling to draw one for the in-between right now. And I have one deck to close out with any oracle readings right now. So here we are talking about our own power, which is 9, right? Which is this completion. I'm not going to read the reverse on that. I'm going to actually read it right side up for this one. That's what I'm being led to do. So this is talking about our own personal power. So again, this completion on both sides right now. Volcanoes being very primordial energies, going right back to source energy, right back to the beginning. Volcanoes and even embody that sun energy, right? This is talking about our own personal power and taking our accountability for ourselves and responsibility for ourselves. I'm going to say, when we do this eye for an eye mentality and having to string people up and they have to pay for what they've done and what they're doing and all that, everybody would be walking around blind. And in a way, we already have that walking around blind kind of mentality. So instead of doing an eye for an eye mentality, just take into account that, okay, yes, we made a mistake, or hey, yes, this was our action. How do we facilitate to fix? Nobody wants to actually see another person suffer. Nobody wants to suffer, right? But we are the ones responsible for our own suffering. So in order to come to this completion in our own power, it would be, again, going through and doing our shadow work. And again, a lot of us flop in between both of these because we are fluid between both of these. We're fluid between divine masculine and divine feminine energies, between the dark and the light, because that is the way that we grow, right? We can go, when you see a plant grow, it doesn't grow in all dark or all light, right? The seed grows in darkness, comes out, and that light, that sun shines through, but it doesn't shine all the time. It has a night period, right? We have cycles in which we go through, which we flow through. We also have these companionships. It was at the bottom of the deck, 3 on this particular one. So 21 was just 3. We have the companionship, we have animals right now. This also deals with, if you're really looking into the, again, what's going on in the 3D world right now, in Gaia herself. We have a lot of things going on in the animal kingdom. We also have the companionship. A lot of empaths get a lot of stability through mind, body, soul healing through companion or animals. More or less asking you to connect back with spirit outside to have this grounding as well. Be very grounded, again, to have this grounding mentality, like the alchemist said in the beginning when I read you the specifics in the book. And I'm going to close this reading out, and there will be other readings as well. So I'm going to close this one out with a very beginnings oracle and messages. I'm going to do 3 messages for one template, message for the other, and the overall message for both, right? All right. So let's see. It pops out on this one instead of cutting them. Although I do believe that they pop out, obviously, for it. All right. So I have 3 cards. Okay, I have 17. Lay them down just like this. So I have 17, which is 8, which is that divine connection to source. Miracles happen. Give the universe your clear intentions. So as this particular template is playing out here, the one that is, again, we're embodying the heaven space, we're building the heaven space, right? We're focusing in on ourselves in what we create in an astral place, and the ether itself and how it comes through us. It's saying that have that faith. Miracles happen. Give the universe your clear intention. The intention to build, right? To actually want to take these steps forward. Say what steps we want. Say what steps forward. Say what steps where, right? This is actually asking us to step into our power, right? To be, not only put our intention out there and make it clear, but clearly make those steps as well, right? To stand in our personal power on both sides of that, for that particular reason. But we also have 44. So here's your protection 44, which was in the middle. Explore, love, and create. The only thing that holds you back is you, which has kind of been an overall theme in here. Again, holding ourselves back. We create our own cycles. We create our own blockages. We create our own, it's all within our perception. If we feel a person is blocking us, it is something that is blocked in us, not from that other person. So this is asking us in a way to, again, that protection layer 44, that congruency, which is also it if you break it down, but 44 is a master number, just as 33 and 11 and 22 are. So this is asking you to explore, to love, create, to live, right? Don't hold back. Technically, I mean, death is a thing, and it's a timeline shift, but you only have actually really one life, right? So live life to its fullest. And the creating part, the exploring, the love part is actually what facilitates a lot of the heaven space being anchored in here. And I say that because it's the convergence of both of these timelines. So for this particular template here, the 3D template, the more of the 3D seeing with the material side, which most people are, or I say that, but most people are, they get into the mode where they see that. And I'm guilty of it myself, where you get just seeing the 3D and then all of a sudden you're getting overwhelmed with what is being done in 3D. So time to do it differently. So go beyond what you have done before. 22, which is another 22 being the divine union, but also divine union of the twin flame within ourselves. This is asking if you're doing deep shadow work right now, if you're still dealing with karmic ties, if anybody can be actually dealing with this, time to do it differently. So go beyond what you have done before. Again, breaking the karmic trench. Instead of being in the rinse and repeat, this is asking us to actually step up and break that chain, break that cycle, to get out of our own way, to also understand the purpose, the worth, your own self-worth, and understand there's more than just 3D. I often say this, if your eyes deceive you, so close them. Listen to the inner eye, right? Don't listen to the fear that is being pushed or projected onto another person. This is talking about taking you and actually being accountable for you and your own actions and where you're at and your suffering, and whether that be a relationship with somebody, if you're not seeing something in that relationship that you like, what is your accountability, what is your energy that you bring to that particular table? I'm going to draw one more because I feel like that should be in here. All right, so we have, you deserve good things. Keep your focus on what you want. It's 13, which is another 4. So again, you deserve. We are all deserving. We're all worthful, right? We deserve good things. We deserve not to suffer. So keeping our focus on what we want. So if you're focusing on things that, again, the fear mentality, you're focusing on the fear. That is what you're bringing into your awareness, your experience. But if you're focusing on things that you want that peace place. You want the healing done within you. You want to stand in yourself. You want to feel power. You want the abundance which flows through you, which doesn't always have to be monetary. It's actually more of this love, this unconditional love, abundance, right? This community in a way. Having all of that come towards you is, again, focusing on that want, not focusing on what other people, even other war scenarios or whatever is going on out there, focusing on what actually we want to manifest for this heaven space. So I will leave the information description box below. So this one is for July 3rd, 2023. This is a collective read. This can be done for, again, 2 different templates that are playing out, whether it be masculine and feminine, intuitive, logical, artificial intelligence, or actual intelligence. It is actually still the same template. Sometimes we go back and forth between it. Some of us are leaning more towards one way or leaning more towards the other. And then in the middle, there's the unity, right? This unity is coming in very soon. I have seen that. I've felt that. So embody it. Focus on it, right? Focus on what we want. Description box will have any information regarding if you would like personal readings. Again, they're being booked 2 weeks later from now. I do have quite a few readings to be done. And if anybody would like to do a library reading, which is different than a tarot reading, you're more than welcome to. I do not require the cards for them. And that is something different to help give you the keys to unlock yourself. So this is all about empowering ourselves and empowering you so that you step into the best version of yourself and you create your own space that is very balanced. So I hope you join us, and thank you for watching the video. And thank you for allowing me to do the messages and have them come through. And I hope that you guys get something out of this.